In this video, we'll be hunting 2 boxes of pennies, as well as seeing if we make any progress to the penny hunt fill album. Of course, we'll be looking for any wheat cents from 1958 or earlier. We'll also be looking for any proofs, foreigns, heirs or varieties, or any other cool things we can find, as well as seeing how much copper pennies we can find and seeing how much we can fill the copper jar. I have checked for enders in both boxes. We do have one ender for the hunt. It's actually a pretty cool one in box number 1. It's a 1962 Canadian, which is a young head ender, which is pretty cool. Haven't seen one of those in quite a while, so hopefully that's a good sign for the first box. So let's start hunting box number 1, and I'll bring you in when we have our first find. Just open the second roll, and I see the edge of the first wheat cent of the hunt. It's near the beginning of the roll right there. Wheat cent roll 2 is definitely a good sign, and it is a 1953 from Philly. Just laid out roll 4, and 1 coin away from being an ender. We're going to get our second wheat cent. Can already see the date. It's going to be a 1944 from Philly. Just opened roll 5, and I see the edge of a Canadian cent. The reason I'm bringing you in is because I already peeked at the date. We're going to have a young head. We already have a young head ender, so this is going to be our second one of the box at least, and it's a 1955, kind of an earlier one. That's pretty cool. Next roll, just opened the roll, and I see the edge of another wheat cent. Already at 3 wheat cents, so this is getting off to a pretty good start. Hopefully it's a pretty good box. And this wheat cent is 1941 from Denver. Roll 19, and after that great start, the box did cool down a little bit, but I just uncovered the 4th wheat cent of the box, which is pretty good for 19 rolls, still on pace to make double digits. And wheat cent number 4 is a 1944 from Philly. Next roll, just uncovered another wheat cent. This one is another one from the 40s, 1945, out of Philly. Just opened roll 21. We're going to have a couple of finds in this roll. First, we have a Canadian. Doesn't look too old, but I'm just going to show it since I already have you here. And it is just a 1980, and that's the second Canadian of the box only. And I see an edge of a wheat cent right there, so another wheat cent for the box. One more closer to double digits. And this one's going to be 1953 San Francisco. Same roll, and I just uncovered another wheat cent, and this is going to be number 7 for the box, and this one is a last year 1958 Denver. Roll 25, halfway point of the box, and I just uncovered wheat cent number 8, and I missed it by the edge because it looks actually in pretty good shape. Definitely has a lot of red luster on it, and it's from the 40s. Wow. 1945 Denver in this great a condition. That's definitely going to be an upgrade for the album for sure. That's an amazing find. Roll 27, and now we're only 1 wheat cent away from hitting double digits because I just uncovered wheat cent number 9 for the box. And it is just a 1957 Denver. Roll 30, and we just made double digit wheat cents because I just uncovered wheat cent number 10 for the box, which is awesome. And it is another 1958 Denver. Just opened roll 32, which was the young head Canadian ender. Before this, we only had 2 Canadians in the box. This is only Canadian number 3. I noticed the Canadians have been kind of slowing down lately, which is pretty odd. But this one is a 1962 young head, second young head of the box, which is pretty cool. Just opened roll 37, and I see the edge of the next wheat cent of the hunt around the middle of the roll right here. And this one's going to be 1950, minted in Denver. Roll 39, and I just uncovered another wheat cent. Has some gunk on it, but I can still see the date. It's a 1946 from Denver. Just opened roll 41, and I see the edge of yet another wheat cent. Based on what I see, it has pretty good detail, so it's probably going to be a later one, probably in the 50s. And it is 1945 out of Philly in pretty decent shape. Just opened roll 47, and I see the edge of yet another wheat cent. And this one is just a few coins in at the beginning of the roll right here. And this time we're going to have a 1952 Denver. Just opened roll 49. It's not another wheat cent, but I bring you in because we're going to have another older Canadian cent. Already looked at the date, and we're going to have the 3rd young head of the box, and that's definitely a lot of young heads to get in a box. It is just a common last year, 1964, but still, that's a great find. First box has been hunted, and it was definitely a good box. especially for the amount of wheat cents we got. We got 14 for the box, and I consider anything double digits or better a good box, so 14 wheat cents, definitely a good box. Unfortunately, no old ones, but we did get that really nice 1945 Denver that I'm 99% sure is going to upgrade the album, which is awesome. We also ended up with only 6 Canadians. Again, I feel like I've been seeing less Canadians recently, which is pretty odd, but half of those Canadians were young heads, so that's awesome as well. Definitely a good first box. Hopefully the success can continue in the second box. So let's start the hunt on box number 2, and I'll bring you in when we have our first find. Just opened roll 8, and this roll is going to have the first wheat cent of box number 2. I just flattened out the roll, and I see the edge of it in the back right there. And the first wheat cent of box number 2 is a 1948 from Denver. Already on roll 28, and the box has been super slow so far. Still stuck on that 1 wheat cent, but I did just open roll 28. And we're finally going to have the second wheat cent of the box in the middle of the roll right here. Hopefully the box can start heating up, or else this box is going to be pretty bad. And the second wheat cent of box 2 is a 1946 Denver. Roll 34, finally going to have the third wheat cent of the second box. Still being a pretty slow box so far. But wheat cent number 3 for the second box is a 1946 from Philly this time. Roll 46, finally going to have wheat cent number 4 for box 2. Again, super slow box. Too bad it wasn't much better, but at least we're getting a few finds. And this wheat cent is a 1941 Denver. Both penny boxes have been hunted, so let's go over the finds. We ended up with 13 1959s, 20 S-mints, as well as 30 2009s. Foreigns, we ended up with 11, with all of them being Canadian, and we did a few older ones, which was cool. We had 3 young heads from 1964, 1962, and 1955, all out of the first box, which is pretty awesome. We did have a couple of miscellaneous finds for the hunt. We did just one 1960 small day. I usually get about 1 a hunt. And we also just had this random penny with a 22 sticker on it. No idea what it means, just something interesting I set aside. Now for the wheat cents, we ended up with 18 for the 2 boxes. The first box was definitely the better box, had 14 out of the 18. The second box was pretty slow with only 4, very slow box for sure. The best wheat cent, we didn't have any old ones, so the best one's going to be this really nice 1945 Denver, which I'm pretty sure is going to be an upgrade to the album, which is awesome to find this late into the series. Lastly, for copper, we did pretty average for 2 boxes. Almost filled the copper jar, just like usual. Usually get about this amount in 2 boxes, which is definitely a great amount of copper. So now, we'll go through the finds and see how much progress we make to the album, and I'll bring you back with an album update. Just finished updating the album, and even though the hunt was a little bit slow with only 14 wheat cents, we actually made some pretty good progress for the album. No additions as expected, but we did make 5 upgrades, which this late in the series is pretty good progress in my opinion. First upgrade was just a slight upgrade on the 1945 Philly, slightly less worn than the previous one. And the next upgrade was definitely the biggest upgrade of this hunt. That's a really nice 1945 Denver, definitely upgraded the brown one that was in there before. Now we're getting a few slightly red wheat cents in the 40s, which is awesome, didn't really expect to find those. And then the next 3 upgrades are all memorial cents. We upgraded the 1959 Philly. This one's a pretty nice BU red one. The one before was definitely a red brown, so definitely a good upgrade there. And then same with the 1972 San Francisco. The one before was red brown. This one's a pretty nice red. And the last one was a slight upgrade on the 1978 Philly. The one before had a couple of small blemishes on it, and this one doesn't. So this one's definitely a nice upgrade as well. So 5 upgrades this late in the series. Again, that's pretty good progress in my opinion, even though it's a slow hunt. So we made some pretty good progress, so this is definitely a good Penny Hunt and Fill album series episode.